Hi guys, welcome back to Spelling and Word Study. My name is Mrs. Rhoades and I'm here to get you started on Unit 8, ICE, ILE, and ITE endings. Please take a second to gather your materials. You'll need your purple book, open to page 53. You'll also need some colorful pens, pencils, or markers. Remember, whatever I mark up on the board, you should be marking on your page. Please save room for a key. If it doesn't fit here, a separate sheet of paper is fine. If at any point I'm moving too fast, please pause the video and catch up. All right, so last week we started our study of common endings. We looked at words that end with INE, and we noticed that they have two pronunciations. Sometimes they say in, like in feminine, and sometimes they say in words like machine or magazine. This week we are looking at 3 more endings, and we're noticing their sounds because in none of these cases does the I say its name. So even though in a short word you would see words like ice and pile and kite, you are not going to hear those long I sounds in these words. Okay, so let's start by reading our list. Please repeat after me. Accomplice, apprentice, cowardice, definite, exquisite, favorite, fertile, fragile, granite, hostile, hypocrite, infinite, injustice, malpractice, missile, mobile, opposite, prejudice, solstice, and sterile. Lots of great words this week. Let's break them into syllables, as we always do, starting with accomplice. We're going to slice between the C's and after the M, accomplice. Apprentice, between the P's and after the N. Cowardice, after the W, cowardice, and I think after the D. Definite, after the F and after the N. Exquisite, after the X and after the S. Favorite, after the A and after the R. Breaking this word into syllables is going to help you notice that O, right? A lot of us think it's favorite, not favorite. Fertile, after the R. Fragile, after the G. Granite, after the N. Hostile, after the S. Hypocrite, after the P and after the O. Infinite, after the N and after the N again. Injustice, after the N, after the S. Malpractice, after the L, after the C. Missile, between the S's. Mobile, after the O. Opposite, between the P's and after the S. Prejudice, after the E and after the D. Solstice, after the L, and sterile, after the R. Okay, red vertical line equals syllable break. Okay, shall we check off our stressed syllables? Let's do that quickly. Accomplice is the middle syllable. Apprentice, middle syllable. Remember, the stressed syllable is the one we say a little louder, a little stronger. Cowardice, first. Definite, first. Exquisite, second. Favorite, first. Fertile, first. Fragile, first. Granite, first. hostile first, hypocrite first, infinite first, injustice second, malpractice second, missile first, mobile first, opposite first, prejudice first, solstice first, and sterile first. Okay. Purple check mark equals stressed syllable. Now, in the stressed syllable, you can expect the letters to be pronounced the way you would expect. So, com, pren, cow, deaf, quiz. There's nothing tricky there, right? Where it gets tricky is our unstressed syllables, because that's where we see the schwa pop up, and we also see letters taking on whole different sounds. So notice these three patterns all show up this week at the end of a word, but also they're all unstressed. So that might explain a little bit about why they sound so odd. So let's start though with the ICE in accomplice. Notice it's not saying ice, it's saying is. It's turning into a short I. So we see that in accomplice, apprentice, cowardice, injustice, malpractice, prejudice, and solstice. In all these words, ice says is. Okay? I also want you to start noticing how endings correspond to parts of speech. So all of these words that end with ICE are nouns, right? An accomplice, a person who helps you commit a crime. An apprentice, a person who learns a trade. So most of the time when you see a word ending with ICE, it's going to be a noun. That is a noun ending. Okay, let's choose another color and look at the word definite. Put a box around the ITE. Same thing with exquisite, favorite, granite, hypocrite, infinite, opposite. All right, that's it. In all these words, ITE says it. And remember how I said these usually show up at the end of a noun? Well, the ITE usually shows up at the end of an adjective, a describing word like definite or exquisite or favorite. Those are all words we use to describe. Same thing with infinite and opposite. However, you can see in words like hypocrite and granite, these are nouns, okay? So ITE usually shows up at the end of an adjective, but sometimes at the end of a noun. All right, our last pattern is ILE. Fertile, fragile, hostile, missile, mobile, and sterile. In these words, the ILE isn't making a short I sound. It's not saying ill, it's saying ul. So ILE is actually making a schwa sound, right? That sound. Now, what part of speech do these words tend to be? Well, fertile, that's a describing word. Fragile is a describing word. Hostile is a describing word. So it looks like ILE is going to show up at the end of adjectives. But then we get the word missile. A missile is a thing. So again, just like with our ITE endings, ILE usually shows up at the end of an adjective, every once in a while at the end of a noun. Okay, I want to spend a little bit of time reviewing some prefixes. So we know that mal means bad, right? So if you sue your doctor for malpractice, that means he or she did a bad job, right? If they were supposed to amputate your right foot and instead they took out your left foot, well, you have a pretty strong malpractice case. They did a bad job, okay? And they can get in trouble for that. Pre means before. So prejudice is when you judge someone before you even meet them. So if you're prejudiced against a certain type of person, or even if you're prejudiced against a certain type of activity, it's because you've already judged that type of person or that type of activity before you meet them, right? So that's not a good thing, right? We need to keep an open mind when we meet new people and try new things. So a prejudice is judging before. All right, forming an opinion about something before you have all your information. Okay, so mal means bad, pre means before, in can mean not. So an injustice is an act that's not fair, right? Like if I said, okay, it's lunchtime and only the brown-eyed kids can line up for their lunch, and the blue-eyed kids, you get no lunch today. That's a huge injustice, right? That is an unfair action. Okay, it's not just, it's not fair. There are some other prefixes here, but these are some of the more common ones that I want you to be aware of. So, purple box equals prefix. Okay, and then we're not going to talk about suffixes, but when you get to page 56, you're going to learn a new root. So today you're going to learn that the root fin means end or limit. So think about finish. When you finish your dinner, that's the end. You're done, right? When you take a final exam, you're doing that at the end of the unit or the end of the class. There's a word finite, which means having a clear ending, right? So you stay in elementary school for a finite amount of time. You can't stay here forever, right? There is an ending point. If something is infinite, where's my purple? If something is infinite, it's not finite, which means it's not ending. It's going to go on forever, right? Not ending. Sometimes we say it's eternal. Okay, I feel like there was another word here with fin. Oh yeah, definite. I should choose another color because I want to circle the fin in infinite, right? Not ending. And then definite. If something is definite, it has clear limits, right? We're meeting at a definite time, okay? I have a definite amount of money I can spend. So if something's definite, it's clearly stated. It has limits to it, okay? So when you get to page 56, you're going to see even more words that have that fin root. So pink circle equals root. All right, quickly let's go over our vocab. So I already said an accomplice is a helper but in crime. All right, so it's not a good thing, right? The person who drives the getaway car in a bank robbery is an accomplice, and they're in trouble too. An apprentice is a person who learns a trade. So someone who learns a trade. So for instance, you can't just one day wake up and say, I want to be a plumber. I want to be an electrician. It takes months of training, right? So you need to be an apprentice first. You need to travel around with an experienced plumber or electrician so they can teach you how to do the job. Cowardice is a lack of courage. You've probably heard the word coward before. So a person who is a coward is experiencing cowardice, just a lack of bravery. If something's exquisite, it's amazing. Someone has exquisite taste. Everything in their house just looks beautiful, or everything they wear matches perfectly. They have exquisite taste. Favorite, just keep in mind the word favor is hiding in there. If something is your favorite, you favor that, you prefer that. Fertile means able to grow crops. So a sandy beach is not a good place to grow vegetables because that sand is not fertile. Some places don't have fertile soil. There's too many rocks. There's not enough nutrients. It's too dry. So farmers are always looking for fertile soil. Fragile means something breaks easily. So if you are moving to a new house, you want to wrap all your glasses and dishes because they are fragile and you don't want them to break during the move. Granite is a type of rock. It's a very pretty rock too. Sometimes people have granite countertops in their kitchen and they have like that marbly color. Hostile means you're openly against someone. Right? So you're not even trying to hide the fact that you don't like them. You're just rude to them. You are hostile. Sometimes countries are hostile to each other. It's the opposite of having a friendship or a good relationship. A hypocrite is a person who says one thing and then does the other. So a person who, sometimes you say they're a person who doesn't practice what they preach. So a person who says one thing but does the opposite. So a person who says don't swear, swearing is bad, and then they swear all the time, well, they're a hypocrite, right? Because they're not practicing what they preach. Infinite means not ending. Injustice and unfair action. Malpractice means you do a bad job. You could get sued. A missile is something that is shot through the air. Something shot in the air. Sometimes when countries are at war, they shoot missiles that have bombs attached to them and they do damage. So. But a missile could be anything. If you throw a pencil across the classroom because you're trying to hit someone, well, you just turned that pencil into a missile. Mobile means can move. So when I was a kid, there was no such thing as a mobile phone. Every phone had to be attached to a cord to the wall. But of course, now we have all kinds of mobile phones that have no cords. We can pick them up and walk all over the house. And we even have cell phones that we can take wherever we want. Opposite, prejudice. We talked about you judge someone or something before you get to know them. Solstice. That there are two solstices. We have the winter solstice and the summer solstice. These are the longest and shortest days of the year. So our winter, can't talk. Our winter solstice happens around December 21st. That is the shortest day of the year, which means we don't have that many hours of daylight. And then our summer solstice happens around June 21st. That is our longest day of the year. So the sun rises early in the day and doesn't go down till later in the evening. And then if something is sterile, it has no germs. So if you are a surgeon and you have to perform surgery on someone, you want to make sure that all your instruments are sterile so that when you cut that person open, you don't get them infected with any germs, right? So everything has to be sterile, perfectly clean. All right, that's all I have for you guys this week. I know this is a ton of vocab, but these are great words to know. So work hard. You've got this, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.